Bedlam by Christopher Brookmyre, narrated by Angus King. The author begins with the following quotation from Groucho Marx.
Life is a whim of several billion cells to be you for a while. Loading. File 1 of 3. Prologue. Game face. This is not the end of the world, Ross told himself. He closed his eyes as a low hum began to sound around him, heralding the commencement of the scan. The effect was more whiteout than blackout, the reflective tiles filling the room with greater light than the fine membranes of his eyelids could possibly block. He should look upon all of it as a new start, several new starts, in fact. Yes, multiple, simultaneous, unforeseen, unwanted, and utterly unappealing new beginnings. Welcome to your future. As he lay on the slab, he conducted a quick audit of all the things that had gone wrong in the couple of hours since he'd stepped off his morning bus into a squall of Scottish rain and a lungful of diesel fumes on his way to work. He concluded there wasn't a brain scan he needed, it was a brain transplant. Nonetheless, as the scan head zipped and buzzed above him, for the briefest moment, he enjoyed a sense of his mind being completely empty, an awareness of a fleeting disconnection from his thoughts, as though they were a vinyl record from which the needle had been temporarily raised. "Hey, Solderburn, are we clear?" he asked, keeping his eyes closed just in case. There was no reply. Then he recalled the capricious ruler of the research and development lab telling him to bang on the door if there was a problem, so he deduced there was no internal monitoring. He opened his eyes and sat up. It was only a moment after he had done so that he realized the tracks and scan heads were no longer there. He did a double take, wondering if the whole framework had been automatically withdrawn into some hidden wall recess. It was a kind of pointless feature Solderburn was known to spend weeks implementing, even though it was of no intrinsic value. There was still no word from outside. Solderburn probably had a lot of switches to flip, so Ross was patient. And as he didn't have a watch on, he only had a rough idea how long he'd been sitting there. However, by the time the big hand on his mental clock had ticked from reasonable delay through mild discourtesy into utterly taking the piss, he decided it was time to remind the chief engineer that his latest configuration included...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?